Hi and a warm welcome. My name's Ian Mack. So I wanted to introduce Shakespeare's stories. You'll find in my channel that I have narrated briefly the stories generally and some history and what happens in each act for all core 40 Shakespeare plays. Now the question is, why on earth did I do that? And why did I do that from the outset before I did anything else? Well, this is an arts channel. And as an arts channel, it's a self-discovery, self-education channel to get involved with the arts. However, I was originally going to start with ballet and opera, and I realised that actually the Shakespeare plays were some of the core foundation building blocks of both opera and other literary traditions and other art forms that we have. So I figured, before we even get going, let's learn, let's understand, let's know what the Shakespearean stories are. For most of us, at school we're force-fed one play or another. It might be Macbeth, it might be Julius Caesar, it might be King Lear, it could be Romeo and Juliet. And there are a wide range of reasons why schools and colleges choose the plays that they do. However, in the end, because we're force fed it, because it's full of this difficult language and we're not quite sure of what's going on, and we kind of just have to try and learn it to get through and pass an exam, that by the time that we leave school or college, we say, do you know what, I'm done with that. Of course, a few of us, I've got a degree in English literature. I went on to study at an advanced level and degree level. However, that's not the point. The point is that even if I did that, I only covered one or two plays, certainly not 40. And some people will say, yeah, but there aren't 40 plays by Shakespeare. There are only 37 or 36. Well, there are 40 in my portfolio listed here because I've included plays that had substantial contributions from Shakespeare, as well as those that we know he wrote completely. And of course, we can also cross-reference the plays that were included in his first folio. So in the short writing time span from, say, early 1590s on to the 1610s and 12s, whatever, in that 20-odd year period, Shakespeare wrote all of these amazing plays, and most of us don't know what the stories are. So if I said, Coriolanus or Timon of Athens or The Taming of the Shrew, most people will look blankly. They have no idea what the stories are. And yet those stories are reinterpreted time and time again. They appear in Hollywood cinema. They appear in regional theatre dressed up as other plays. And yet time and again, when we actually look at the stories that Shakespeare wrote, they're really good. Let's take away the difficult language. Let's take away the knowledge of quotes. Let's take away all of that and just look at the stories themselves. What are they about? I mean, the Merry Wives of Windsor, we've got some drunken fool trying to chat up two married women. That's basically what's going on. It's like a latter-day version of Tinder. So where are the guys set up? So we find the origins of English farce in Shakespeare. We find hundreds of phrases that we use in common parlance today that have passed down through the centuries. We find stories that we find familiar that have been reimagined and reinterpreted. So there is a good reason to sit down and simply understand what the stories are in plain English, because once we know that, then we have far less fear of Shakespeare. We can then start to engage perhaps at a more advanced level. We can appreciate more of what Shakespeare was trying to do. And also we can find out why, and we can see more clearly why Shakespeare underpins our Western literary traditions. Today, Shakespeare is taught everywhere from Australia and New Zealand across the Western world, Canada, America, the UK, and in multiple languages in every other country. So the idea that we would spend our entire lives only knowing the story of one play, to me personally makes no sense. So I decided to sit down and I spent my time finding out what the stories were, recording them one by one, and they're now all available in 8-minute arts briefings in my channel here. So do like and subscribe, because I've now moved on to ballet, and when we get to opera, you'll quickly discover there are at least 20 operas based directly on Shakespeare. So it's all interlinked, it's all intertwined, and that's why I began with Shakespeare stories, and I really enjoyed learning those stories. I think some of the stories are in fact most of the stories are absolutely fabulous. There's a lot of humor in Shakespeare, there's a lot of desperate tragedy, there's a lot of imagery, there are some great scenes. There's a lot of knowledge of history in there as well as of course political propaganda from the late Tudor period at that time. So I think if we are going to go on a self-learning journey with the arts, then I think that Shakespeare and Shakespeare's stories are really a fantastic place to start. I hope you enjoy them.